Hey guys, Yuvraj here from the Brainstorm Force team, makers of the Astra theme for WordPress and other amazing WordPress products. And since it's a Monday, we are doing one more round or one more edition, the second official episode of WordPress Weekly Roundup, WordPress Weekly News. Whatever the name is, it's still up for debate or it's still up for debate. So if you have an appropriate name suggestion, leave it in the comments. For people who are joining us for the first time, who recently subscribed and you don't know what this series is, it's a weekly series, mostly on Mondays that comes out. We talk about WordPress news from around the world, and we also cover some basic SEO news because I think that will be important for most of you guys watching. And feedback is still welcome. The last time I did this, a lot of you people commented that I speak too fast and it was hard to keep up. I guilty as charged. I usually speak fast. It's something that I'm trying to overcome myself. So thank you for pointing it out, and I'll take care that I speak slowly and you are able to understand every word I say. And again, feedback is still welcome. So if you haven't watched the first episode, you might check it out. I'll leave a link down in the description, or you can watch this episode and then watch the second episode. All right. Again, we have a bunch of new stories coming out. We have around 10 different stories with WordPress and SEO combined. So let's start with the first one. And this is again the first story of the day is about Gutenberg, the plugin for WordPress. So last week also, I mentioned that Gutenberg plugin was updated. And this time Gutenberg was updated to 11.2 version. And it has now interestingly expanded support for, or I say color support for the search and pull quote blocks. So I'll open up my screen right here, and what you'll see is how the color support looks like for the search block and also for the pull quote block. And Gutenberg has been making some interesting advancements, and this is something I'm really on board on. I'm particularly a big fan of the list view and the drag and drop options in the Gutenberg editor with the list view. List view is not part of Gutenberg. So I'm excited to see what future updates of Gutenberg plugin will look like, or how they'll look like, because ultimately everything that happens in the Gutenberg plugin will come to the WordPress core eventually. So I'm really excited for this one. And the next update, which is an important update for maybe some of you guys, there's an important plugin, or I say very popular plugin by the name of Compliance, which is a GDPR cookie consent, or I say the plugin that helps you add cookie pop-ups or cookie notices on your website. And that plugin has recently been acquired by a different company, and they've converted it to a paid product, which requires an active subscription, and you might need to sign up for an account. And unfortunately, this is not the rarest of occasion. This usually happens in the WordPress space quite often. And many times you see that when this happens, the plugin's original functionality usually changes quite a lot, or the pricing or subscription model changes quite a lot. So anytime this happens, it's a good thing to keep an eye out if major changes are happening. And since you're seeing this on this my screen right here, the plugin is very popular. You can see the ratings right here, and also how many websites actually use it. It's used by around 200,000 websites. So significant update, significant change. So if you are one of those guys who have been using this plugin, keep a watch out, make sure that your website is completely compliant, even if you are using this plugin. And just a fun fact, we are planning some videos around this, best plugins for WordPress compliance or adding cookie consent banners. Of course, we'll try to include this plugin as well, if it makes sense in the complete video. So watch out for that video if you're interested in that. So coming to the next update, we have WooCommerce blocks. So last week we had another interesting update with WooCommerce. I believe it was WooCommerce that was updated with a new version. But this time we have an update about WooCommerce blocks, the plugin that lets you add WooCommerce blocks to your website. And you have some interesting new features. I say majorly it's bug fixes, but there are a couple of features as well. So you can check out the complete changelog. I'll leave a link down in the description for every story that I cover. But it's been interesting to see how WooCommerce has changed with the block editor, and how it is still evolving with the Gutenberg, or say the block experience. So the next update again is about WooCommerce. It's about the WooCommerce 5.6 RC1, which was just released, I'd say, on the 3rd of August, so a few days ago. But still, again, as I mentioned, WooCommerce has been updating itself pretty quickly. So you might want to check it out if you use WooCommerce, or if you intend to use WooCommerce in the future with any kind of online store, then you might want to keep an eye out on all the changes that are happening inside WooCommerce. So that's the next update. So next update, talking about the next update, we have an interesting update about WordPress in general. So a site called GigaPress, I don't know what the actual business model is, but they did some original research about the top 10,000 websites in the world, and they found some interesting data. So the first headline that you see right here, that WordPress powers 10.57% of top 10,000 websites in the world. First of all, that's pretty impressive on its own. But when you look at the data, it becomes even more impressive. So looking at the data right here, this is the data I was talking about. When you see the first, or I'd say the most important metric right here, which is the unknown or no CMS, so you see the majority of websites fall into this category first, and that is 76% of the entire metric. So what I mean by that, or what I interpret, is that, okay, maybe we're talking about the most popular 10,000 websites in the world. So what I assume is that they either have a custom CMS or they are using a CMS and have customized it to a degree that it's not detectable by robots or by any kind of, let's say, plugin, or I say the CMS detector. But the interesting update, or I'd say the more interesting metric to me, is that from all the CMSs that were detected, first of all, WordPress is absolutely dominating all of them. And in terms of market share, for only the CMSs that were detected, WordPress still has 44.26% of the overall market share. That is still a huge number. So that's confirmation for how great WordPress is. And if you are an agency owner, you want to pitch this to clients, why they should be using WordPress, just tell them about this, that 10,000, or say 46%, 44% of all websites which have a detected CMS use WordPress. It's a good reason why WordPress is so popular. So that's the story for the day. And this brings us to the end of WordPress related updates. Now, few SEO and traffic related updates. So the next update is from, again, Google. There has been an official statement about how website downtime affects your rankings. So you have a website, maybe it's hacked, maybe something goes wrong, maybe the server goes down. How does that downtime affect your ranking? So there has been official statements by John Mueller. And what he actually said, I'll quote him. Sure, that would, no, let me just find the actual quote which I was talking about. All right, coming back for a second, he actually didn't quote, or the quote he said was, there's missing context. So let me give you the context. So there was a question asked on a Reddit thread that, can I recover lost Google rankings after almost 5 days of downtime? This is a question asked by a user. And then what he said was essentially yes, that's the answer. But I'm going to give you his quote, and then that will make things clearer on what he intended to say. So what he said is, sure, that should pop up back in a week or two. If it takes longer, then the drop wouldn't be from the downtime. So the user asked if 5 days of downtime will affect his rankings. And what he said, even if it does, they'll pop back in a week or two. And if it takes longer, then it's not, or the ranking drop is not related to the downtime. So this is an interesting piece of information, that if your website goes down for some time, for any reason, then you shouldn't have any effect on rankings. I hope I was clear with that one. So talking about the next story for the day is again by another quote by John Mueller, which is that he has provided some insights into how core web vitals are affecting the search results, because there's been a lot of discussion around, okay, the speed ranking or the speed update is the most important update in the world, and it's everybody's scrambling over to optimize their websites for core web vitals. So this is what he has actually said about in terms of the general SEO experience, or how you should be optimizing websites. So this is his quote. I'll read it out to you. Relevance is still by far much more important. So just because your website is faster with regards to core web vitals, then some competitors don't necessarily mean that come May, you will jump to position number 1 in search results. So he's talking about the update that was supposed to come out in May, but was delayed. But this is an interesting piece of information, and this is what I've been preaching on this channel a few times, that don't worry about speed too much, or don't only worry about website speed if you're looking to get better rankings in the search results. And now we have, I'd not say concrete proof, but official statement from John Mueller that relevance is by far still more important. Now, there's an interesting follow-up to this, which is the next story for the day, where Google kind of has said that, okay, page experience update is more of a tiebreaker, and there's some interesting more information about it. So instead of trying to explain everything, I'll just give you some context on what I understood with whatever the discussion was going around. And what I understood was that technically, if let's say there are two websites with similar metrics for SEO, rankings, or I say not rankings, but links, maybe the content quality, the authority. If there are two websites exactly the same or very similar, then the page experience or the core web vitals metrics can be used to have a tiebreaker in which website should rank higher. So this is what I interpreted from this story. Of course, I'll leave links down in the description so you can check it out. And of course, John Mueller also said that this is more of an evolving thing. So whatever changes you've been thinking or seeing in these search results with regards to core web vitals, this will evolve over time. So keep an watch out on this channel. Of course, we'll be covering any kind of stories that come out. And if you're seeing any kind of ranking fluctuations, then something to just give you a personal experience on. Right now, at this date of this recording, there are 3 different Google updates that are kind of rolling out at the same time. We have had a July core update. We had a Google spam update, which I covered in the last video. We also have the core web vitals update, which is again a slow rollout. It's evolving over time. So I'd say it's difficult to understand which of these updates is affecting your rankings, whether they are up or down. So be patient at this time. There have been some discussions around the web around the same topic. So if you have any kind of issues, or if you are still trying to answer the question, why are my rankings up or down, just wait for a while. I'd say within a month, we'll have more clarity about which of these updates or Google updates is affecting websites in what manner. So coming to the next story of the day is Google has simplified or made changes to the page experience report. So the page experience report is inside the search console, and it has become a little simpler. But the more important update is that safe browsing has been removed from the page experience report, or I'd say Google will not consider safe browsing as part of your overall score, whatever the exact terminology might be in terms of your page experience. So if your website gets hacked, let's say for example, or if your website was hijacked, then of course you lose the safe rankings, but that should not affect your page experience score, because Google says that since you did not do it intentionally, or it is not under your control, then they don't want to punish you for that by removing, or let's say decreasing your page experience score. So that's again one interesting update from Google about making an interesting, I say, welcome change to the page experience report, which you can find it inside your Google Search Console account. So coming to the next update for the day, Google Analytics is now showing referral data for Google News and Discover. So Google News, you might be aware of where the metrics or where the Google distributes your data. And of course, Google Discover is what you see if you open up your Chrome browser on your mobile phone and you see news articles, then that is Google Discover. And also in many other apps, Google also distributes your content naturally. Earlier, there was no way to figure out how much traffic you were getting. But now there is some kind of sort of details appearing in certain users, I'd say Google Analytics. So yours might be different. Maybe you would see it already. Maybe you will see it in the next few weeks. There has not been an official statement whether this is a permanent change. So I'll show you a screenshot of one person named Vishal Marathe, who tweeted this screenshot out where he was showing that this is how the the showcase, which is Discover, and the Google News was sending him some referral traffic. So look out for this kind of referral traffic in your analytics. And following a Twitter thread, I was able to understand that John Miller did not give any concrete ideas on will this change stick, or will this change go away. So if you don't see it, don't worry too much. If you see it, don't expect it to stay permanently. This might go away or change very soon. So coming to the last update for the day, which is I think very important. Google has officially said, when I say Google, I mean John Miller, most of the time, customer reviews are not a signal for web search. That means if you have a lot of customer reviews, or if you have a competitor who has a lot of customer reviews, then they are not considered, or the number of reviews is not considered for which websites rank higher. So I'll quote him, and this is the context which I already mentioned. As far as I know, we don't use the number of customers or reviews. Number of customers and reviews, both are important when it comes to web search with regards to ranking. Again, important. Sometimes we do pull that information out and we might show it as kind of a rich result in the search results. So what he's saying is that if you have a large number of customers, or if your competitor has large number of customers and also customer reviews, then we might show that as rich results, which I've been talking about in regards to schema, but it does not affect the actual rankings. Now, an important bit of clarification I would like to give here is even though, let's say, for example, you and your competitor rank at the same position, I'd say one position above the other or below the other for the same query, but your competitor or you maybe have higher number of rankings. So even though rankings are not affected, but the click-through rate is more likely to be affected because of social proof. If your competition, or if you have, let's say, 200 reviews from your users and your competition just has maybe 20, then your website automatically, or your business automatically looks better in the eyes of your end user and visitor because of the large number of reviews. So that's very important to take care of, or that's very important thing to consider and understand, that even though rankings is not being affected, but the customer perception is being affected. So collect as much reviews as you can about your business, whether it be Google My Business or on your website. And with that, we've come to the last story. This was the last story actually. And this is the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, if you have any feedback, definitely it's welcome. If you enjoy this, make sure to leave a like, thumbs up, whatever you like to call it. Also subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications by clicking the all icon or all button, so that we can send you notifications about whenever we publish new videos. We usually talk about WordPress tutorials, WordPress news, and all kind of good stuff. And you were watching Yuvraj on the Brainstorm Force channel. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making this video. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care and stay safe.